those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Heather, and I'm the music director here at the Sonoran Desert Center for Spiritual Living. Hi, left side of the room. I never get a chance to see you guys. How are you? And we have some special guests with us today. Many of you may or may not know my partner over there, Stephen Amatucci, on the drums today. And today is the first day that these drums are used after COVID. And our very special guest musician, it's his first time here today. This is Robertson. He's a dear friend of ours. And we have been in many jazz trios and combos and easy listening bands, we've played all kinds of music together, at least as a trio with the three of us here, for over a decade. And Rob is extremely accomplished. A little bit of his bio is inside your program if you care to read that. And of course, we'll all be spending time together, getting to know each other after service today. So, and we're gonna be here. So come up and say hi. So with that, let's stand and sing our opening song today, Journey of Awakening, inside the blue page in your programs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody sing praise, 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 praise. Praise for the journey of awakening. Everybody sing praise, 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 praise. Praise for the journey of awakening. I'm on a journey of awakening to the presence of God within me, expressing peace, boy, love and harmony on this journey of awakening. Everybody sing praise, 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 praise. Praise for the journey of awakening. Everybody sing praise, 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 praise. Praise for the journey of awakening. I'm on a journey of awakening to the presence of God within me, expressing peace, joy, love and harmony on this journey of awakening. Everybody sing praise, 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 praise. Praise for the journey of awakening. Everybody sing praise, 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 praise. Praise for the journey of awakening. Praise for the journey of awakening.
On behalf of Reverend Donna and the Board of Trustees, I am privileged to welcome you here to the Sonoran Desert Center for Spiritual Living. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are truly welcomed here. You will be validated, supported, and encouraged to be all you are meant to be. Our vision statement is love in action every day in every way. We express this love by learning and living the principles of the science of mind. You'll find our declaration of principles on the back of your program. Please join me now in reading them. I believe there is an infinite intelligence operating throughout the universe. I believe this intelligence power is only good. I believe this intelligence expresses as me. I believe through my conscious use of this power, I create my as happy, healthy, and complete. And so it is. Do we have any first-timers today? I don't think so. Well, everyone stay and enjoy, meet the new band member or sit in or whatever you want to call it, and enjoy the refreshments. I would like to thank all the people that made this Sunday celebration possible. First of all, those of you in the chairs. That's what's most important here. We wouldn't have a center without the people out there, so we really appreciate it, and all the volunteers who help in every way. So thank you. Please direct your attention now to the announcements that are in your bulletin. And if you're watching online, please visit cslaz.org for your announcements in our event calendar.
And if you'd like to join us in singing our Namaste song that recognizes the God in me and in you, the words are inside the first page in the white portion of your program. The God in me beholds the God in you. It is all for our greatest and highest good. The God in me beholds the God in you, and you and I are one. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. It is all for our greatest and highest good. The God in me beholds the God in you, and you and I are one. Namaste. Namaste.
Good morning, sweet family. I'm going to light this candle first that represents the light that shines in each one of us. You are family. You know what practitioners do. So please, if you're feeling bad or if you have anything on your mind, put a prayer request in that box. It goes to all of our practitioners, whether they are in Homer, Alaska, or here or elsewhere. So we are together in prayer every week, including Reverend Donna. So let's just take a breath. Settle down. Close our eyes if you wish. We know that God dwells in each one of us. With every breath we take, that divine energy lives inside of each one of us. We know we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so we let that spirit ride herd over our lives. We say thank you for this beautiful day, for all the blessings of our lives that shower down upon us every day. for the beauty of nature that lives and brings us such joy. So I know that each one of us is filled with a special happiness today as we share this space and listen to Reverend Donna's message that we can apply to our lives and take home with us to have an effect on our consciousness in the next week. So for this and so much more, I say thank you, and so it is. I was looking around wondering, what am I going to talk about? And of course, I'm flipping through old Science of Mind magazines because they're so full of wonderful things. And also what came to mind is what's come up lately has been, with all that goes on around the world and here in our country, all the division, all of what we see and take in, whether it's radio or television, I would suggest that you don't watch it very much. And as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, stand guard at the portal of your mind. Don't let that in to settle into your consciousness. That's my advice for the day. And you know, when looking around, Ralph Waldo Emerson, I found this wonderful book that I didn't know existed. It's called The Philosophy of Emerson by Ernest Holmes. He was a wonderful influence on young Ernest and continued on. So I would buy that book in a flash. I have it already on my, what's it called? No, not Kindle, the other one, that I can listen to as I drive. The Philosophy of Emerson by Ernest Holmes. Oh, it's wonderful. Anyhow, here we go. Please remember that it is not only our job, but our joy to take your prayer requests. It is so important not to walk past that box if you have anything on your mind. Ernest Holmes said, "Nobody grows old by merely living a number of years. People grow old only by deserting their ideals. Years may wrinkle the skin, but to give up interest wrinkles the soul. How you choose to see your life and the world around you is everything. Some young people look old, and some old people look young. The story is told in your face and the way you carry yourself. As bodies of energy, we reveal everything, and not just in the words we speak. Our enthusiasm for life is like a beacon of light that attracts like a moth to a flame. We have within our power to create that light, but we cannot do it by dwelling on ways of being that bend the back and bow the head. No matter how old you are, there is in every heart that childlike delight, that love of wonder, and that joy of experiencing something brand new and fresh. While it's been said 1 million times, it bears repeating. The thought you think is what determines the world you live in. If you don't like the world you live in, now is a great time to change. Life is so joyous, so beautiful, so profoundly magnificent in its complexity and opportunity. You did not come into your physical body for pain and suffering. You came for love and beauty and divine expression. Now is the time of your great becoming to live the rapturous journey of your magnificent, joy-filled life. So I would say this and put it in your mind. I declare myself a powerful, loving light, overjoyed at my new becoming. And so it is. Oh, thank you. All right, I'm going to take this light and hold the high watch and come and put your prayer requests in that magic box.
In a time full of war, be at peace. In a time full of doubt, just believe. Yeah, there ain't no much difference between you and me. In a time full of war, be at peace. In a world full of hate, be a light. When you do somebody wrong, make it right. Don't hide in the dark, you were born to shine. In a world full of hate, be a light. La 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 la. In a place that needs change, make a difference. In a time full of noise, just listen. 'Cause life is but a breeze, better live it. In a place that needs change, make a difference. In a world full of hate, be a light. When you do somebody wrong, make it right. Don't hide in the dark, you were born to shine. In a world full of hate, be a light. La 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 la. 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 In a race you can't win, slow it down. Yeah, you only get one go around. 'Cause the finish line is 6 feet in the ground. In a race you can't win, just slow it down. In a world full of hate, be alive. When you do somebody wrong, make it right. You're right in the dark, you were born to shine. In a world full of hate, be alive. Yeah, it's hard to live in color when you just see black and white. In a world full of hate, be a light. Thank you. Namaste.
Good morning. Oh, Rob and Stephen, can you come back next week? It was really beautiful. It's really beautiful to see it, to have the full music of various pieces of. Oh. I'm okay. Okay. I did that once. One up here, so. Yeah, really, taking on a whole new meaning, right? Anyway, it's just really nice to have a full set of different instruments to go along with Heather's beautiful voice. So, how neat. We're continuing our theme, common sense spirituality, and I thought the topic, practical mysticism, was appropriate. And I love some of the things that Rosie said because I'm going to be saying them too, so you'll hear 2 different ways to say it. But I want to begin our discussion of practical mysticism by saying what mysticism is not. And that's because I did a web search, on mysticism to see if I could find some information. And under one of the websites that had that topic, it said, make $1 million in the stock market with your psychic abilities. So that's not quite what a mystic is. And there is a big difference between the psychic and the mystic. Good psychics can read the mental atmosphere of their clients. They can tell us things about ourselves that we've told no one. And because they read the tendency our thought is taking, they may tell us of future experiences. And we'll find probably that no two psychics will tell us exactly the same thing. And that's because each psychic sees a different mental picture or reads the same picture differently. So if someone tells you they're a mystic because they can predict the future, know that this person may be a psychic, but not a mystic. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, defines a mystic as one who has a deep inner sense of life and of his unity with the whole. He is one who intuitively perceives truth and without mental process arrives at spiritual realization. Well, you and I are all seekers or we wouldn't be here. We're not here to make $1 million in the stock market, nor to find out how Aunt Matilda is doing now that she's crossed over. That's not what we're here for. We're here because we're drawn to particular churches, centers, teachers, workshops, courses that we feel will lead us into a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationship with God. So in a sense, we're all on a mystical path. We're all practical mystics. Matthew Fox in The Coming of the Cosmic Christ tells us that efforts to define mysticism invariably end in frustration and despair because definitions are the quest of the left brain, which seeks to analyze and to separate. But mysticism is a right brain experience. Mysticism is beyond the control of anyone, even the mystic. It is impossible to develop a single definition that does justice to the experience called mysticism. Now, after having said that it was impossible to define mysticism, Matthew Fox goes on to give us a whole chapter that's entitled 21 Running, Working, Experiential Definitions of Mysticism. And we're all like that. The first line of the Tao Te Ching says the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao, and then Lao Tzu spends the next 10,000 words explaining the Tao. And many Jewish and Christian leaders say that we cannot truly understand God, but just check in the paper about the number of synagogues and churches that are in our area. So we ministers, rabbis, whatever, so we're all talking about something that cannot be talked about, and we hope that you understand that which we cannot explain. And that's what we do every week. Yeah, I know, me too. While this mystical experience cannot be understood from our left brain, it can be experienced. And it's this experience which the mystics have tried to convey from every religion and philosophy. A Chinese poet puts it this way. Good morning. A Chinese poet puts it this way: plucking chrysanthemums along the eastern fence, gazing in silence at the southern hills, the birds fly home in pairs through the soft mountain air of dusk. In all these things there is a deep meaning, but when we're about to express it, we suddenly forget the words. I do believe that Ernest Holmes was a practical mystic. He touched deeply on the mystical side of life. And yet he said that if our teaching wasn't practical, then if it didn't create new ideas and new ways of life, if it didn't allow us to live in joy, then it wasn't worth the paper the textbook was written on. And he could say this with authority because he saw changes in people's lives. We've seen it here. He knew that this stuff works. And he says, out of years of study and thought emerged the system we call religious science,
because religion is our idea of God, while science is a knowledge of facts, causes, and principles which exist independently of our thinking, just like gravitational forces does. Religious science is a compilation of the great thoughts of the ages, the deep mystical yearnings of mind in search of God, and the modern approach to a faith which can be demonstrated. So you and I might not think of ourselves as mystics, but to study religious science and incorporate its teaching in our life is to walk a mystical path. It's to see beyond the material world of duality and to find that deep sense of oneness within it all. Evelyn Underhill, in her book Practical Mysticism, says, "The old story of eyes and no eyes is really the story of the mystical and unmystical types. No eyes has fixed his attention on the fact that he is obliged to take a walk. For him, the chief factor of existence is his own movement along the road, a movement which he intends to accomplish as efficiently and comfortably as he can. He does not want to know what may be on either side of the hedges. He ignores the caress of the wind until it threatens to remove his hat. He trudges along steadily, diligently, avoiding the muddy pools, but oblivious to the light which they reflect. Eyes takes the walk too, and for him, it is a perpetual revelation of beauty and wonder. The sunlight inebriates him, the winds delight him, the very effort of the journey is a joy. Magic presences throng the roadside or cry salutations to him from the hidden fields. The rich world through which he moves lies in the foreground of his consciousness, and it gives up new secrets to him at every step. No Eyes, when told of his adventures, usually refuses to believe that both have gone on the same road. He fancies that his companion has been floating about in the air or beset by some agreeable hallucinations. We shall never persuade him to the contrary unless we persuade him to look for himself. So many of us start out our lives as no eyes. We looked at our world of affairs as the only reality, and we spent a lot of time trying to fix or change things, trying to get ahead, we're caught up in the drama of the everyday. And the sacredness of the world we live in got lost in the shuffle. And that's why I love this teaching when people come to it for the first time. It's like we're opening that door. We're opening that door, and it makes my heart happy. So that's our real task, is to begin to see as eyes does, to look through or beyond the appearances that are before us into the oneness from which we all stem. And from that perspective, we begin to see all things, all people, all experiences, and ourselves as some part of a divine whole. And this divine whole is the ultimate reality that is meant in the very definition of mysticism. And that's our starting point. Ernest Holmes says this whole philosophy, spiritually conceived, is based on the assumption that such a reality exists, that standing within and back of each of us is God, the eternal presence, as us, and there is nothing between us and it but our belief. Therefore, the thesis that every individual is God, though in the germ, that within the most humble of us stands a personification of the Almighty, and that as much of this as we loose through right knowing constitutes spiritual power, and that is what is practiced. And our spiritual power, obviously, is our use of that one power and presence. Understanding our own true nature, that we are God in expression, is the foundation upon which we can build a practical mysticism. In metaphysics, another term for God or spirit is universal mind. Once we see ourselves as expressions of God, as expressions of the universal mind, we can see that our connection with this spiritual power must be through our mind, our thoughts, and our beliefs. So the perceptions of the walk that Eyes took was in his own mind, and he saw himself in connection with all life. His walk was a joyful, magical one. No eyes also had an inner perception of his walk. It was one of efficiency to get to his destination as quickly as possible. Ernest Holmes says that we are each an individualized center of divine thought, and through each of us, the original thinker is finding a fresh starting point for its creative power. So therefore, without violating universal or natural laws, the mind of the individual steps in to specialize or make personal use of them. So eyes and no eyes made personal uses of the one mind to take their walks. For one, it was a joy. For the other, it was a means to an end. Both specialized the creative power of the one mind, and each had a very different experience. So not only are we expressions of God, but we specialize the mind of God every time we think. And that's where the true practicality of the mystic experience comes in. When we attune our thoughts to the attributes of spirit, peace, harmony, joy, abundance, love, then we are creating an avenue for those attributes to flow through us. And we've all heard that thoughts are things, but our textbook also says that thoughts are more than things, they are the cause of things. So every time we think, we are putting a cause into motion that has the ability to show up in our lives because we are specializing the mind of God through that thought. And it doesn't mean that every single thought will manifest in our lives, but it does mean that the overall tendency of our thought, beliefs, and attitudes are the causative factors of our life. And God, or universal mind, will reflect those thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes back to us through our outer experiences. When I was a Sunday school teacher, I had second graders, and I was trying to explain this to them, and so I said, okay, what if I put down one piece of saran wrap on the table? You're not going to see it from where you're sitting. But if I have 1,000 pieces of saran wrap, then it's going to take form. And that's the way thought is. One thought flying across your mind is not going to create something. But a tendency, if you find those kinds of thoughts occupying your mind a lot, that will become those 10,000 pieces of saran wrap, and it'll create form. To be a practical mystic, we learn to spiritually discern the world. If everything is an expression of God, an expression of universal mind, then those things that appear to us to be less than godlike, less than beautiful and harmonious, may be stemming from a belief system that no longer serves us. We need to ask ourselves, what is the spiritual truth behind this experience? For example, if we are experiencing ill health or disease, we need to come to a place where we know beyond the shadow of a doubt that there is a spiritual prototype within us that is whole, perfect, and complete, that does not know disease, pain, or ill health. And the more we can align with this spiritual truth, the more of that wholeness we will experience. If we are experiencing lack or limitation, the spiritual truth is that we live in an abundant universe. Jesus said, it is a Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom of heaven. When we see the world as abundant, filled with like eyes, when we see the world as abundant, filled with creativity and overflowing with plenty, then we move our thinking away from lack and into abundance. And we put a new thought cause into motion that will eventually reflect in that outer world. If we feel that life has passed us by, that we didn't do all that we could, the spiritual truth is that right now, no matter our age or circumstances, we contain the creativity of spirit, and we can, through our thoughts, set that creativity in motion so that our lives are filled with purpose and meaning. Anna Marie Robertson, better known as Grandma Moses, began a career in painting in her 80s. So there's time for all of us, If we are feeling alone and insecure, the spiritual truth is that we are never alone, always one in spirit. And for that very reason, we are loved beyond measure. When our thoughts turn towards the love that we have, the love that we are, then love automatically permeates our being, and loving relationships are drawn into our life. And the same is true if we're experiencing an unhappy relationship. You know, Alan Cohen tells the story about himself when he was living with several other young men in a rental house. His neighbor, who had immediately deemed them as hippies and possible terrorists, since most of these young men wore beards, tried everything she could to have them evicted. One day, Alan was at a workshop where they were to put someone they didn't like into the forefront of their mind. And of course, the neighbor took center stage. Then the participants were told to shed the light of love over that image. And at first, Alan couldn't do it, but little by little, he began to crack, allowing love to come into the situation until finally he was able to drop all of his anger and resentment and see her truly through loving eyes. The very next morning, the woman came to him. "I've got something to say to you. Here it goes," thought Alan. And she said, "I've been very hard on you, young men. I want to apologize. I want us all to be friends." And from that point, there was a wonderful relationship among them all. Ernest Holmes says everything that exists in our experience today is the nature of effect. This is important. Everything that exists in our experience today is in the nature of effect. So by accepting these effects as things in themselves, we tend to perpetuate them and unconsciously to create new effects which logically flow out of our present circumstances. So I told you that before that I had a teacher who said, if you can see it, it's a dead thought. If you can see it, it's a dead thought. It's created, the process began in thought and it ends in manifestation. So if you see it, it is, the process has been completed. But what do we do with that? Oh my God, look at this. And we start the process all over again. So it's very important to remember that by accepting these effects as things in themselves, we tend to perpetuate them. And he goes on, Ernest goes on to say, therefore we must practice a conscious approach to absolute cause. This is done by deliberately turning away from every appearance and definitely realizing that we are dealing with a power which is absolutely unlimited. And I want to say right now, this doesn't mean that we are ignoring the problem. What we are doing is acknowledging the problem, but that is not the reality of our life. That is not the mystical side of us, this side of us that is intuitive. That's the side that is creative. Okay. So by asking ourselves, what is the greater truth, like Alan did, or what is the spiritual truth of this situation, we are automatically turning away from the appearance, and we're setting a new cause in motion that will have a positive outcome because we're using that unlimited power for good in our lives and in the lives of others. It's as simple and profound as that. There's another story that's kind of like Alan's, and Reverend Carrie Hunter, who I knew years ago, she recently posted a story on our minister's listserv. And she wrote, one day years ago, I was verbally attacked by an 18-year-old who told me he couldn't stand me because I was Mary Poppins, always positive. He yelled at me and I was both hurt and angry. He wasn't part of my congregation, but he was the son of somebody that I knew. I was determined to release my anger and hurt through prayer, even if it took me all night. I sat in a comfortable chair and repeatedly prayed, God, love Michael through me, and love me through Michael. She says it took 3.5 hours, but I felt myself in complete love with Michael. And the next day I was shopping for groceries and someone came up behind me and put his arms around me. It was Michael. He apologized, saying he has a problem with anger management that he had learned from his dad. And he acknowledged that it no longer needed to be his. And he said that he loved me and didn't want anything to destroy the mentoring influence I was in his life. And she says, it only takes 15 or 20 minutes now for me to release with this technique. And I'm so grateful for Michael's outburst, or I may not have learned it. Matthew Fox says, the mystic has taken in enough of the blessing of the world to be radically amazed by it, and therefore to affirm it. In understanding our oneness with all that is, we can take in our blessings by seeing, as eyes did, the joy and beauty all around us, the path we are on, the journey we are taking is blessed beyond our wildest imagination. Albert Einstein said the most beautiful and profound emotion we can experience is the sensation of the mystical. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. To know that what is impenetrable to us really exists. Excuse me. Manifesting itself as the highest wisdom and the most radiant beauty, which our dull faculties can comprehend only in their primitive forms. This knowledge, this feeling, is at the center of every true religion. So this week, let's see ourselves as practical mystics. And let's focus on being radically amazed by the world we live in, by seeing joy on the path that we call our life, by embracing the sacredness of our very being, and by knowing without doubt that we are unique and magnificent expressions of God. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you, Wanda.
All right, let's stand and sing Everyday Mystic. 1, 2, 3, 4. I am an everyday mystic. I want to see God every day, all around and deep within me. When I meditate, when I pray, gazing at the stars, hiking in the hills, driving in my car or paying my bills. Deep in my heart, when my mind is still, I want to see my God, because I am an everyday mystic. I want to see God every day, all around and deep within me. When I meditate, when I pray, in the light of the moon, in the face of a friend, grateful tune, or the flowers I sing, early in the morning to the long day's end. I want to see my God. I'm grateful for God's grace, for the peace of inner space, every day, in every place. I want to see my God, because I am an everyday mystic. I want to see God every day, all around and deep within me. When I meditate, when I pray. Let's do that chorus again. I am an everyday mystic. I want to see God every day, all around and deep within me. When I meditate, when I pray, when I meditate, when I pray.
Thank you, Rob and Stephen. Thank you so much. This is really cool. I like this. Before we go for the offering, there's a insert in your paper, in your program called Meaningful Connections Online. We had started the first module of Atlas of the Heart, and we got through that first module, and several of us wanted to wait until the fall before we went forward. But Melinda said, well, what if people want to have a class during the summer? So she and Louise are going to be doing it, but they're going to start with chapter 8, and it doesn't matter where you start. Each one of these is a standalone chapter that is filled with really good information and practice. So if you're interested in taking this, it's a love offering, and if you just go to that link, the email link, then we'll send you a Zoom invitation, and we'll do that every week. So think about it, because it's a really cool class. Louis can attest. Okay, so it's time for our offering, and I ask that you join me on the left-hand side of the program. My gift goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless all that it touches. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I share generously of my good, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for your generosity that allows us to be a beneficial presence in this community, as well as taking care of our very own center. I just got the last board report, and I'm not sure that I've got the numbers exactly right, but this property is listed at being valued around $600,000. Since 2011 is when we started, we now owe $114,000. So that's pretty amazing, if you ask me. Yeah. So we will pay the dang thing off. Okay, so let's close this portion out in prayer, and then hopefully you guys will do a number or two for us, will you? And please join us for refreshments as well. So I know that there is one mind. It's the mind of God. I know that there is one intelligence. It is the wisdom of God. There is one love. It is the love of God. And this divine wisdom pours through each and every one of us. And when we awaken to our own magnificence, then we can't help but be transformed by it. And as we sit in love, in meditation, and kind of ponder on those things that we might be worried about, we can say with Carrie, God, show me the love of the world through me, and let me show the world of love to everybody. And just keep doing that. And I think that we can do more to heal the divisiveness in our own country, the wars in other countries, just by sitting and repeating that God is the love I am, and God is the love that whatever that thing is. So we take this moment to just simply give thanks and know that all is well. All is well. And so it is.
So let there be peace.